It was a dreary, rainy Saturday morning when my mom and I headed out the short drive to my grandfather's house. It was all a little bit hectic.
Came down
Thanks.
through Rochester, probably through.
I can see the writing now, but it's nothing I
Nice.
can read.
There we go.
November.
I love the phone.
It's kind of
Mommy's
important.
class. Look at the
Helena, Susie,
She
we
looks
need the
like
German.
Helena right here.
As one can expect with 4 aunts and numerous cousins. But I managed to pull some people away to talk about immigration and how it correlates to our family. This is my mom. You've already met her as the one who drove me here, but what you didn't know is she got her degree in history. She seemed like the perfect person to start questioning.
On my side of the family, our ancestors came from Germany, Holland, and England predominantly. My grandmother, Lena Heinrich Papp, came from Germany. She was born in the late 1800s, and she was in Germany during World War I. And at that time, she was not a very healthy child, and she lived in München, which was also known to the Americans as Munich. And her family sent her out into the countryside to be a mother's helper, where it was healthier for her. She lived out there for a period of time taking care of children, and then they decided to send her the New World still. But she didn't come to America first. She came to Canada. From Canada, she continued her immigration and went to the United States through Rochester, New York. And this is where she stayed for the rest of her life. She moved to Rochester. She married a Dutch man, Simon Papp. They had 3 children, who was my mother, Linda Papp, who married Wayne Wagner. And they had 5 children, of which I am one, but Lena Heinrich, born in the late 1800s, is our closest relative in the immigration game. My Aunt Renee painted that picture up there of their house in Brockport. My grandfather was a mason, which means bricklayer, and he built that house for them to live in Brockport. This is when they were living in Brockport, right next to Rochester. She was such a wonderful cook that they actually started a diner. That's my mother, and that's my grandfather. That's their family. Why did they immigrate to the United States? What was going on in their country? Well, when my grandmother immigrated, it was after World War I. There was strife in Germany. Germany was trying to rebuild because of all of the World War I destruction of Germany. The ruler of Germany at the time really tried to take over all of Europe, and the Germans were looked on very poorly at the time, so they had a lot of rebuilding to do. There was a lot of distrust of Germans in Europe, and many of the Germans they didn't have jobs, they were not doing well, so many of them left Europe and went to the United States or Canada. Ellis Island had a celebration where anybody who immigrated to the United States could get a plaque, a brick put in the wall with their name on it. You did not have to go through Ellis Island to have this done. My mother bought one for her mother. This is the American Immigration Wall of Honor. They came to the United States of America from Ludwigstafen, Germany. That's where she came from. Simon Papp, he was from Zandvoort, Holland. Official Certificate of Registration, American Immigration Wall of Honor. It does not say they went through Ellis Island. It says they came to the United States. This is a way you can honor any relatives who immigrated to America.
The next person I interviewed was my aunt, who had gotten her doctorate from Harvard. She told me an interesting story about an uncle.
Our great Uncle Merritt, or William Merritt, they use the same names over and over again, was the town historian. So he wrote a book that everyone can find online about important people of Brockport, New York. But more recently, my great uncle Burton Elwell was born in 1922, died in 1980. He went at the age of 20, enlisted in the Army at the height of World War II. So he did basic camp and everything, and basic training, and he was sent overseas to the East, be that the Philippines or Japan or exactly where he was. That's what we're tracking down. When he came home from the war, he was in the Army, and when he came home, he went to Ohio to go to attend a university. He must have seen some really horrible things in the war, and if you ever talk to a vet either from Korea or from even World War II now, they did not bring their stories home with them. They kept them all inside. So Burton kept all what he saw inside, and I think it was a bit too much for him. So he was committed to a state hospital, and that's where he spent the rest of his days, and he died in 1980. So he was 58 years old when he died, and we're trying to find the pieces of in between. No, we did not name our dog after our great uncle. Actually, our dog is named after the snowboard company, Burton Snowboards.
So I learned about my great-grandmother and my German ancestry, but what did my cousins have to say about immigration? I mean, with the current political climate, immigration is a pretty hot topic. And while it's cool to look back on the past, we have to remember who's going to be in charge of our future.
Do you know who it is?
No.
But he's ugly?
Well, don't you think so? He looked like the boy in, what's that show? The Addams Family.
Put a filter on it, maybe.
Oh.
This is my cousin Mikey. He's in 8th grade, he likes to play video games, and he's interested in fish. Like the fish tank kind, not the kind you eat. Anyways, here was our interview.
I think it was in elementary school when they were saying, like, I think it was like in 5th grade when all like the immigrants were coming from other countries to get like a better life in America. The only country that I think I'm from is Germany, and I think that's it that I know of. I feel like people are making a big deal out of it, even though some of these guys like are illegal immigrants. Like some of them do deserve to like go if they are illegal, but like the legal immigrants should be able to stay.
Next, I interviewed my cousin Cindy. She's 17 years old and always an interesting character.
I feel like we're a wedding couple. I know! I first learned about immigration in elementary school. Let's see, mom's side, Germany, dad's side, Poland and Italy. Oh. I don't know. I think about the immigrants, refugees. I don't know. No opinion.
After I had gathered all that I could, my mom and I headed home to see what else we could figure out. This is my home, and this is my dad. He has his degree in English, and he has a huge family tree that dates all the way back to the 1800s.
My ancestors came from Italy, Germany, and England. My grandparents on my mother's side were all Italian, but my grandparents on my father's side were 1/4 English. One was all German, the other was half English. So my mother's side, it was sometime in the 20th century, the 1900s, but I don't know the exact year. I know that on my father's side, the SCHAFFER lineage, we can trace it back to 1815. Mary SCHAFFER, born in Philadelphia, but we can't go back further than that. So who the first SCHAFFER was to come to this country's kind of a mystery, but it seems like, from Germany, and most likely they immigrated to the Philadelphia area sometime in the 1700s, and that's the best guess at this point. There's so many things my grandmother told me about. She came over on a boat with her mother, and she was the youngest of 19. This is my mother's parents. Her mother and her father are my grandparents. They are my grandparents, yes.
So, after all that investigation, what have I learned? That the effects of immigration are all around us. Whether it be from the stories passed through every generation, or the artifacts we don't even know are hanging in our houses.
Mother.
And as the young people, it's our job to cherish these memories for the people who no longer can, and show the next generation of immigrants that the impossible is possible. Thanks for watching.